Hello and welcome to Connect and Collaborate. I'm Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer, and I am super pumped for today's show. I have some nerds in my house. I have Clare and Dennis Huspeni here, and super exciting business that you've got here. It's called NerdsToGo, and it's a really neat concept and one that I had never heard of before, and it's super exciting. So essentially what you do is you have IT professionals that you recruit and send to people and businesses when they need some IT work, because not everyone can afford an in-house IT team, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate you having us, Alex.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. This is a really cool concept, and it's, as I said, not something I thought about before, but when I read about it and when I checked out your website, I was like, duh, why haven't we thought about this? So you guys are tapping into a really nice market. I think this is a great time to have this kind of service.
Yeah. That's what we thought when we were checking out franchises. So you're right. That the same thing kind of clicked and resonated with us as well. So
yes. And yes, to be fair, this is a national organization.
That is correct.
Yes. And you have a franchise here in Denver.
Yes. Serving the South Denver area. The main franchisor is based out of Connecticut.
Okay.
And it actually started at 14 years ago, and we were the 21st franchise in the United States to open.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, South Denver is what you service.
Yes.
You know what? We're going to scrap that. We will get to that.
Okay.
We will get to that question in a minute. What I want to do is introduce you guys to my audience.
Sure.
Because when you start out on a franchise or start out on your own in business, it's tough. And I know that you both came from the corporate world, so but you have a lot of expertise that you're bringing to the table on this. So, Claire, I'm going to start here with you.
Sure.
Good
How
place to
are
start.
you? Yeah. Let's hear your background.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I actually have worked in customer service, running call centers, contact centers. So anyone that would call in was responsible for that. Worked in a very diverse amount of industries throughout my career. And in that also did a lot of the projects around technology, how we utilize technology with it, how do we service clients. So it's really love anything to do with the client experience around that. And of course, getting to marry something that I'm also very comfortable with in addition to that has really been great. So yeah, really nice.
Awesome. Wonderful. So you mentioned your customer service background.
Yeah.
And you're in a tech industry now.
Yes.
But I feel like one of the things that we see IT professionals having a little bit of a hard time with is that customer service aspect, right?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
People get into technical fields because they have they're technical minded.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Very black and white, very yes and no, and figuring out problems. And so it's hard to curtail that into some good customer service.
Right.
And we all know that sales is all about relationships. Yes.
Yes.
So how much do you think you brought from that world into what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I would say a lot I brought from that. So in all of my experience, I was responsible either for leading IT groups or partnering with them. And really having an understanding of always the end game with technology is how do we make ourselves more productive? Does it bring efficiency? Because that's really the purpose around that. And so throughout my career, it was always around if we're going to leverage technology, it really needs to make that experience even better. And then really identifying on how do you meet those needs of the client and how do you need to adjust with that. And so when I actually left corporate America, I have a consulting business as well. So I actually consult and help companies with customer service. And so it was really something to say when this opportunity presented itself, it just made so much sense. I loved the just the whole mantra around customer service that Nerds really presented. And we're different in the sense that I'm really looking for a nerd, not just only, from an IT, but somebody that really is inquisitive, wants to learn. I know for myself, I'm fascinated in anything. And so even with the tech, he's always explaining things to me around how it works. So, really want to continue to say, how do we service people in that area and make it an incredible experience for them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That is great to hear. Dennis, let's hear about you.
Well, I'm a born and raised Denver native. Went to CU Boulder, so go Buffs. But I have a 27-year career in journalism, so people might have recognized my name from the Denver Business Journal or Denver Post. And then I parlayed that into a career with public relations and did most recently some media relations for Fidelity Investments. But I'm all in on the nerds now, so I'm doing sales and marketing, and gonna see how I can use those communication skills to help grow our business.
Awesome. Yeah, PR is very important no matter what industry that you're in. So what I found interesting with both of your backgrounds, you're working in the tech field now, but you have customer service background, you have PR communications background. Both are very, very important in any business. And so I imagine that falling into the tech field and falling into owning your own franchise was kind of a natural fit, right?
Yeah. My journey actually started almost 4 years ago, was when I was going to make the pivot. I didn't actually do it. A dear friend of mine asked me to join an organization to help them through a transition. And during that time, I also got my MBA. So I wanted to go back to school and get my MBA around that. And so, really started thinking about, how do I apply this expertise really in this space? I loved everything that I did in a corporate America, but I also found that I was getting further and further away from really what I loved, and was more, at the officer level. So it became more of the politics of doing things with it. And so just getting that opportunity to say, I get to take what I love and actually apply it, was critical, really a critical point. And so it really has been a journey over time of really making that pivot.
Yeah, and at a certain point in your life, sometimes, at least for us anyway, we're looking at all the work and the effort and the hours and the care that we brought to our professions, and we were successful in those and making a good living, but we were also working for somebody else and making giving helping their bottom line. So then it starts to make sense. Like, why don't you put all of that care and effort and time into your own bottom line if you can? It's just a matter of finding the right problem, and if you can fix a problem, that small business is going to be successful. So it has been quite a journey for us, and I got to be honest, it's scary leaving that corporate paycheck, leaving the benefits, and so we're responsible for all that now, and somebody's on our payroll, so we're now responsible for others, which is like a whole new level of wow.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, I find it interesting that you say if you're going to put all that time and effort for somebody else's bottom line, why not control your own? Which sounds amazing. And I know that there are definitely people out there that want to do that and thrive to do that. I'm not one of those people, so I commend you both for that drive. Because it's not easy to come by, right? And as you mentioned, you're in charge of somebody else and you have all these things. So let's talk about your foray into NerdsToGo and how and what drove you to want to get involved in this, right?
Yeah. So when I left corporate America in July of 2017, Dennis would say I was on my walkabout, because I didn't really know what that final, destination actually looked at. And I was just really open to whatever came our way. And so, started really working with organizations around customer service. And I got a phone call from a franchise broker, and had never anticipated that was going to be part of the journey. And they sent us a bunch of them, and I just kept on coming back to NerdsToGo. I just conceptually like what they were doing. As I started to do some of the research around it, it just made a lot of sense, and really just aligned everything with us. And so, we did our due diligence, went out and met with them, did a lot of competitive analysis to say, where were we actually at with it? And, even just the energies of the colors, because we're all orange and yellow. And of course, when I went out, I said, well, orange is one of my colors, so I guess I can do this.
That's very important. I highly agree.
Yeah.
Totally. And we had both run our own business. So I was a freelance writer for many years while I was a stay-at-home dad with my two girls who are now grown and gone, which, also puts us in a different position that we're not responsible financially for 2 other lives, and we can take a few more chances possibly. And so Claire had said, she was running her own business too. So, we had made LLCs and we're, making money, but it really wasn't bringing in the kind of revenue that we were hoping for, that could allow us to save for our retirements and help our daughters. So when we looked at what the potential was for this business and for an untapped market of Denver, we were like, oh my gosh, this could be right time, right place. Why not? And I say roll the dice, but as she said, there was a lot of due diligence on that before we started rolling those dice. So.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing is, you said untapped Denver market. We know Denver's super technical city. We have lots of tech experts here, so I'm surprised that nobody had thought to do this before either.
Yeah. There's definitely competition. So we have competition within the market space. I think that what differentiates us to some extent with this is that we will do residential all the way through small businesses of any size. And so when you look at some of the IT companies that are out there today, they really want small businesses that are 5 to maybe 10 plus people, where we believe that, we're going to serve that entire market actually around it. There's also been a lot of move to actually just provide remote support. And we offer that as well, but we'll not offer it alone. We just feel it's extremely important that people see us, that we're there to answer questions. We're local. They want us to, to call around it. So we actually have some differentiation in our model around that I really feel that makes us unique.
Yeah, one of the things that attracted us to this franchise was when she talked already about the emphasis on customer service, but it was also the educational element that it brought. When we went out on calls, when we were out in Connecticut going out, they were going to, say, seniors' homes that, sometimes can be like technophobe and I don't really understand this. And then it gets really frustrating and they, want to get into their bank account and the computer shut down and they're just like, I'm a little nervous now. So the tech would go in and not only solve the problem, but he would talk to her about, here's what's going on, here's what we're fixing, here's what we can offer, and it's different things like, we can offer you a block of hours, or we can just fix this now and we'll talk to you next time you have an issue, or we can provide you security and be on call all the time, and they can choose a la carte what service they want. So just that whole education, we saw there is a lot of people coming to Denver to be with their kids and their grandkids. So you might have known, I used to cover real estate for the Denver Business Journal. This senior housing market is for those kind of facilities is up there. And so again, a big light bulb went on in my head and I was like, we could provide that education.
I love that. And one of the things that I'm taking away here, I get really frustrated trying to help my mom on the phone.
Right. We all have that, right?
Is it plugged in?
Did you restart it?
Did you restart? Yeah. Turn it off, turn it back. Right? And so I can imagine that educational piece is really key.
Yes.
Particularly for people that are tech phobes, right?
Yeah, or just don't understand, and I think it does get to that. And, technology is changing so much. Of course, I have 3 older sisters, so that I'm all now, I am all IT for my folks. Not to say that I wasn't before, but now I've got tools that, because they live in Colorado Springs, that I can now remote in and help them and do certain things. And so that, becomes really important. And you do see that, because I get nervous for them when they have people come out that maybe aren't, being as ethical maybe as they need to be with them and stuff like that. So I feel like if I can partner with other families in that sense, with it and help them, that's certainly a good positive thing.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I love hearing that. So I want to talk a little bit more about what exactly services you have and who the audience would be for NerdsToGo, who can tap it. You mentioned residential.
Yes.
So quite literally, if I'm having trouble at home, I can call you guys.
Yeah, totally. And we'll dispatch a van out and a tech out to you, and assess the problem, give you a reasonable estimate, and then let you choose to go forward or not. And really, when you think about households, that also includes solopreneurs, right? There's a lot of those out there now. People are in this gig economy, working on their own and making their own businesses fly. So we're their IT partners there, and the alternative is, I guess you could take your laptop or hard laptop off to one of the shops, and that's fine too. But sometimes they take it and need it for a couple days, and like that's your money. Your laptop, your phone, your pad is how you're making money or doing presentations. So it gets very frustrating when your source of revenue is down, and that raises the anxiety level. And so we're always about, very calm how we approach it. Explain what's going on. How can we get you back to where you need to be?
Awesome. And solopreneurs. I wrote that down because I've not heard that term.
Yeah.
But I'm stealing that from you.
I think we stole it from somebody else.
Yeah.
Works. Totally works.
Yeah,
We're
and
gonna make it
I
happen.
was that, right? So I worked out of the house, and I did find that not really from a tech perspective, because I was pretty good on my own with it, but just even other services at times, solopreneurs are really not serviced, or have a hard time finding that level of service. And so, certainly having come from that was really important for me to make sure that was inclusive, because I do know sometimes they're the people that need the most help and have the hardest time finding it. And it's so critical that when we're running a small business or we're solo in that, stay in your lane. And for the things that you don't know how to do, reach out to people, because you're going to expend so much time and energy on things that, are really not helping your business. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're wasting. You are the resource, and so you're wasting your own resources trying to research and Google and do all the things.
Yeah.
And I can only YouTube so many how-to videos
Right,
in a day when I'm trying to figure something out.
Well, and if you don't have a laptop and a computer, it's really hard.
Yes, exactly. And I'm running out of space. Gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
So you also have some current projects that
Yeah.
you're working on. Tell us about those.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
we do project-based for clients. We've got actually a couple where we'll be working with them. One's a brand new business, and so that, I think, really we're going to have some advantages there with them and really getting them all set up. In that environment, we'll certainly make sure that all of the security components, so we will do anything from hardware. So we can fix hardware, we can come in, do reconfiguration with software if that's what you need. But we also sell hardware. So like in this situation, we're going to do some unique things about refurbished along with, brand new, based on what the need of the employee actually is. Making sure that we've got the right security systems actually in place around it. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. If I'm dealing with the medical profession, we're really going to talk about a different solution, especially with HIPAA.
Yeah.
Because we need to make sure that they're well protected in that environment, to another group where they're actually just moving their business. And so they're moving their business, and we're helping them right now. They just launched a new software package, which is very new for them. And so just helping them size the right equipment for this software, really helping them get up. We'll get them up in their current location, and then we'll help them actually when they do their build out in their new one.
Yeah, and we're also trying to source vendor lists. So there's like big service providers, like say cable or internet, that will sell you equipment, but they aren't going to help you install it or make sure it's working right with the equipment that you have. So we're also trying to tap into that market as far as like if they need someone on call to go help with some equipment that they sold but weren't able to dispatch a tech to help install and make sure it's working with your existing stuff. I think that's another untapped market for us as well.
That is a huge untapped market. Gosh, you guys are so smart thinking about all of these avenues. Every time you mention something else, I'm like, what a great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned medical and HIPAA laws,
Yes.
so I have to ask here, cybersecurity.
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
Necessary.
Oh yeah.
It's what I would talk to any really any residential to any small business, of course, any business. There is so much risk out there right now, and so many different ways in which you can really be impacted. And I do hear a lot from people at times. They'll tell me, "Well, I'm going to a portal that's secure." That's correct. That portal is secure, but you got to remember that you're taking a path to that portal, and they're not securing your path. And so it really is talking about that. Yes, there's antivirus, but there's much more inclusive security packages that are really going to ensure that everywhere you're going on your technical devices are ensuring that you have what I always tell people. It's just think about your wall, right? It's kind of just putting up the wall in front of you of what you don't want coming in and allowing you to go over the wall when you need to, but it's really critical in every aspect that you're working with any of your technology.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, and we resell. So we actually work with some top end vendors that actually do that, and so any of the cybersecurity, we have the same systems and platforms that they do as well. But I, really have to be cognizant because I do think sometimes people may get oversold on some of the things where, really providing solutions and explaining to them, this security solution will do X versus we have some that are more robust that are probably more appropriate for much larger environments.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's important because especially like I talked about when you're dealing with that senior market, they can sometimes be vulnerable to someone that's going to come in and say, well, you absolutely have to have this, or someone's going to hack your bank account, and you wouldn't want that, would you? And so, we're very careful and we're very ethical about that, and only selling the customer exactly what they need, because then they'll get the good service, be happy with the service, and then talk about us word of mouth. And that is a key component of our marketing and advertising push, is to have that word of mouth. And then also with the security, we're finding, you had mentioned HIPAA. Well, these smaller doctors' offices and dentist offices, there's a Windows upgrade coming next January. And so if they want all of their computers to be compliant and HIPAA compliant, they're going to have to go through that process. And do they have experts they can go to on that? Mm-hmm. And so, we can help in that regard too.
Awesome. How customized are these plans?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that overselling, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people get oversold, and I think we've all been subject to that.
Yeah.
Particularly when you're venturing into a field that you're not super familiar with, right? And you're reading all these big terms, and you're like, no, I definitely don't want that virus. I need all the coverage, and so you immediately spring out for that $1,000 package.
Yeah.
When really you probably could have customized down to 500, 200, whatever your needs are. How customized can I get with any of these plans?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So every business will be unique. For residential, it's still offering some of the same security solutions that we actually have with them. And so it's really, let's look at your environment. Let's talk about what you would need there. But really, for any small business, we can actually put a plan together. So again, Dennis mentioned, if you want to buy a block of hours, we can do that. We do it at a reduced rate, and they never expire. And you can use it for anything. You got a cracked screen. You've got, hey, I need you to come out and install something for us. They really work on anything. We also provide a monthly. So if people would like us to truly be that IT partner for them, then we would provide a monthly service, come out based on really their needs. So we can look at it to say, do you want us here once? Do you want us here 10 times? And then we do provide the remote monitoring. So, really I sit down with the business, then we'll sit down with the business and just really talk about what they need, where we need to go, what their pain points are, and then we'll put together a plan for them. And my goal always is to have two options. So I always give them two solutions of, we could take it down this path. This is what this would look like. Right. We don't have any long-term contracts. So if it is something that you don't feel that we're providing the need, you also have Den and I direct number. That's probably the difference. If something goes wrong.
Companies where you get to contact the owners directly. And so, that's, again, going to be another differentiator is like, we're going to be on call, ready, responsive. So hopefully that's going to help the business grow as well. So,
yeah. I just had a client this morning that, she had some questions. The tech was out there. And so I was just texting back with her and we got it clarified and, all good. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Direct contact with the owners. You're right. That is very rare that you get that. Right before we go to break, tell me where I can find more information.
So if you go to www.NerdsToGo.com, you can get information there, and we definitely have our Denver site that you can go to, but we have information on there, but you can also send us a contact form if you want more, and we'll reach out to you.
Yeah, or you can use our 800 number, 800-390-NERD, so you're going to have to get your phones out and look those numbers up, but they are?
6373.
Thank you, Claire.
I like that you tag team that. Awesome. So we do have to take a quick break, but I'm excited to continue this conversation. We'll have some tips for small businesses as well as residential people when we come back. So stay with us here on Connect and Collaborate. Be sure to like and subscribe our YouTube page while you're here. You can find this podcast and more at cobrt.com/radio-podcast and check out NerdsToGo.com. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Connect and Collaborate. Once again, I'm Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer, and I am having a stellar conversation here with Clare and Dennis Huspeni of NerdsToGo. So in the last segment, we were talking all about what NerdsToGo is, and again, to remind our audience here, it is IT professionals that come to your door, whether you are an individual that just needs help making sure everything is plugged in, turned off and turned on and back again, and to solopreneurs, which is a term I learned in the last segment as well, all the way up to small businesses. And so these are people that you can call on that you can't afford to have your own IT department a lot of times. Or if you just need something that's a little more tailored to your taste. And one of the nice things that you guys do is that you have customized plans. Exciting stuff. So I want to get into that. Let's talk about some simple tips for small businesses out there.
Yeah. So probably the most important, we talked a little bit before about security, is really making sure that you research the security company that you're actually using around that, and are they holistic in what they're actually providing. That's really important because you're going to so many different places and your employees. So one of the other things within that I would say, see if it has functionality for content filtering. And what that actually does for you is it allows you to block certain sites. So if you have employees that you'd prefer that they don't go to certain sites that could actually cause some issues to your technology with it, there's actually features out there. We're a reseller for Avast. They actually have that with it. So that would be one. I'd also tell small business owners that, depending on what they're doing in their job, there's really some good technology out there that's refurbished. And so sometimes people, they look for the new computer, and if you're only going to be using it for certain things, that's also kind of an untapped area that I would tell people to take a look at with it, as well as thinking about some of your technology is only going to be probably 2 to 3 years before you're really going to replace it. So you may not always want to buy the highest end technology that's out there because there's a lot of that function and featurealities that are in medium range that are really going to do everything that you do. So just do a little bit of research if you want to. Even out our Facebook, we just posted some of the best laptops, best computers for 2019 if people want to look at them. But those are some of the things that I would always encourage anybody to take a look at.
Yeah.
And drop your phone a lot because we like fixing screens. That's like our most common, like when people ask and we tell them about the business, like, I just broke my screen again. I'm like, we'll help with that.
You do help with that. Good to know. So I'm going to need you to stay after. So you mentioned a little bit of difference. Avast is one of the people that you work with. I've had my own issues with Norton. I won't get into that. But you also have another partner, Barracuda, right?
Yes. And Barracuda would really be more extensive for some of the larger or small businesses, right?
Okay.
So Barracuda truly is a remote monitoring. And what I would tell people the difference between the two is Barracuda is very proactive. So we're doing patch updates. We're looking at your drivers. It's really a 24-hour analysis that you are completely on our observation platform, if you will. So if anything's coming up, we have the ability to either fix it remotely for you. If you're having a major issue, we're going to know that and we'll be out on site. We'll call you immediately. We also then would provide all of our business owners a monthly report that tells them what was happening in their environment around that so that we make sure that we're negating any of those problems in the future.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool system. It's fun to watch it work because usually I've been on the end where like the tech will come in and you're just, I'm just feeling better. They're taking that mouse across the screen and just clicking and getting it done, and and it's really cool to see it from our end too. It's like, oh, look at this. So our tech does a really good job with that. So that's one of the services we're like really excited about.
Yeah, awesome. We've been the guinea pigs for everything. So I've got multiple machines, and so we're literally our tech and I were at the house the other day, so we deploy a lot on our home computer so that I'm actually, taking a look at it and seeing how it works. And then we actually, the other day, we were identifying sites that were, really scary sites, and we wanted to see. And so he was on one, I was on the other, and you could just see all of it coming through, like blacklisted, blocked. So it was really, really cool to watch it.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
So you quite literally go and you sort of seek out these terrible websites and try to get viruses, if you will, just to see how well it works.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's
it does.
terrifying.
It works good.
Well, and again, refurbished, computers. So, as crazy as it sounds, we actually buy some broken stuff so that we can re-break it or, see what's actually out there. But, if we really want to test different things, we'll buy something refurbished, and then it's not like, it's going to risk something. But our tech is awesome enough. He is a true nerd. And truly, there's nothing that I've asked him that he hasn't. Oh yeah, I'll figure that out, or I know how to do that.
Yeah,
it's great, and that was a key hire, was getting the great tech, because you have to deliver that amazing customer service right out the gate, the very first customer. Because if you even have one person out there that says I wasn't satisfied completely with NerdsToGo, it can be a real detriment to a small business very quickly. And on the other hand, if you get that good word of mouth, you are definitely building a lot of business that way. So we're really being cognizant about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and I love that you're practicing what you preach. You're really putting your money where your mouth is by buying these refurbished items and essentially attacking them yourselves. It reminds me of the Discovery Channel, the Mythbusters.
Yeah. Those guys are great.
Right? And that's exactly what that reminds me of. Is you got to test it.
Yeah.
And so I love that you're doing that. You're making sure that you have the right knowledge and the right equipment to combat these issues. And that's awesome that you're doing that.
Because until you get like a full year under your belt where you've seen, 80-90% of what you're going to see, it's key for us just starting out to make sure that we're all learning together. So we're all very good about that. There's the communication lines that are obviously wide open between us and the tech, and just important to keep in touch with what's going on and what we're seeing and what we can learn from that and apply to the next encounter. So.
Well, and the cool thing too is that being part of a franchise structure, is the franchisor, I also have them as a backup, so we really can make sure that they have a call center that supports us. We will pick up the phone, we'll ring into our local first, but they are there. And if anything gets really like where we don't have we're not really sure, they actually have some technical support for us as well. So there's also that extension. And then of course, being a partner with Avast and Barracuda, we have, resources there. Should anything arise that we say, hey, we're not 100% sure, what we need to do with that. So a lot of really good resources for us as well.
Yeah, and that was the key part about joining a franchise. Certainly we could have hired a tech and said Dennis and Clare's tech service, whatever. But just having that national brand at your back, and with the logo and the merchandising, and with all the experience that they've had and what they've run across, and tried and true practices or things that didn't work out so well. So it's really nice having that franchise backup.
Well, yeah, so you segued quite nicely for my next question. I want to talk a little bit about failures, and I don't want to scare you off with that. But any time you start out into your own venture, failure is kind of inevitable, right? And I don't mean failure as a business. We certainly don't want you to end up in the red by any means. But that being said, you got to try things out, and it's owning your own business is way different than having somebody to answer to and always having a backup in the corporate world.
Yes.
So I want to talk to you about some failures here, either personal or professional, that you've seen that helped you overcome this, and what you're using from those failures now.
Yeah, so we definitely when we did our due diligence, we researched hard on franchises that might not have done so well out of the gate, and what caused that. And so we found, if you did all this credit up front, like on your own credit card or something, that's not a good thing to do. Or say a lot of the franchises started with a retail space, which, as we know, in the real estate market is a lot more expensive. But that's so that people could come drop off their computers or their tabs or whatever. But then you also have to hire somebody to sit there and take that. And we all know real estate and personnel are the two highest expenses for a business, right? So what we tried to do is just be as nimble as we possibly could. So we got, some office space, off Parker and Main Street, 250 square feet. We've got our 2 nerd vans deployed that are always around in our territory. So we're doing like guerrilla marketing there. And then, we saved on the personnel costs of not having someone to sit there. Now people can still drop stuff off. Well, one of us will make sure that we're there, but we save that. And then as we scale the business up and then we get enough clients, hire another tech, move into that retail space. And then all of a sudden you can afford to hire somebody. So it's just being really careful with that initial startup capital.
So you do have a little bit of a brick and mortar, but you wanted to remain mobile, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah, really that whole concept. We're nerds to go. So, when we were talking to the franchisor, it was really about, we love the model. We really just don't know if we want to go into it because even, as Dan mentioned, with real estate, a lot of those retail spaces, they want, a 5 to 7 year lease. And so we really are nimble. We've got a short-term lease. Our goal is we're going to be bursting out of the seams. When that lease actually gets up. But that was really a piece of it as we were looking at some of the financials, learning from others that were in that. I know for myself, I came out of corporate America in July of 2017, and you are incredibly humbled. When you start a brand new business. I had been in financial services for so long. I had my registration, so I wasn't even on anything social, nothing, and so it was like a whole new world for me and, networking and how you do outreach. And I remember I had this grandiose idea that I was going to build my own website because, of course I can build my own website, right?
Yeah.
And 1 hour later, I had gotten one picture on. And so I really said, oh my goodness, this is not my lane. Hired an incredible person who taught me. And that really was for me is that everyone I hired over that first year of being a solopreneur was, if I hire you, you have to teach me. And so I've just worked with some incredible people that really taught me, and I made my mistakes for sure, and I probably still will in that space. But it really it just taught you, and it taught you just how much you really don't know when you've been in that other world for so long.
Yeah, so, definitely. And it's just interesting because like when I was a freelance journalist, I consider myself a very good journalist. I'm a good writer. I interview people well. I can distill complex subjects into easily readable stories. Right. What I was terrible at was the invoicing, was the getting out there and like trying to sell my product or promoting myself like more, because you always had if you called from the Denver Post, they returned your call. But when you just did assessment, you're like, who's this guy? So you learn kind of, as Claire said, what you don't know and what you reach out to for as far as experts, which is again where like the nerds will come in. Nobody in these small businesses are experts at tech, but they're experts at being doctors or at being lawyers' offices, and so that's where we're able to keep them in their own lane, as you like to say.
Yeah.
I want to explore this, stay in your own lane, because I have a philosophy of at least trying to get a rote knowledge of all the things. And I feel like in here, because I do interview a plethora of people across many different industries, so I feel like I'm a jack of all trades in that sense.
Yes.
But I like this idea of staying in your lane, and it's not something I've explored. If you don't mind expanding on that for me.
Sure. So I think, we all have our strengths in what we do. So in my practice, I'm a strengths finder coach, but so that's also, a big piece of strengths, but you really do. And you have to say, I'm really good at these things, and I may not be as good. So I'm going to expend so much more energy and time. So Alex, I don't disagree of having the knowledge of what it is, right? And the understanding of it, because I love to learn. So for me, it's the fascination, right? But I also can acknowledge where I'm really not the expert. So like even, with Den and I, he is really good in these areas and I'm really good in these. And so while we can help each other ensure that we, kind of share those ideas, I know that I'm going to provide the best for our business if I stay really in this area and be just great at that.
Yeah, operations.
Yeah.
Stay in the operations. I'm communications.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. So speaking of balance here, you are married.
Yes.
So I have to ask, working together and being married, is there any contention? How is that for you? If you don't mind going into that.
Yeah.
No, I could start with that one. So I mentioned that I was a graduate of CU Boulder, and so we actually met at the Boulder Denny's on Baseline Road there. So that was the last time we worked together in uniform. So we have definitely come full circle.
Back in uniform.
Yeah. So, but I think I think it's going to work out well. Like I technically, have just started. Like we've been building the business together. But as far as like working side by side on our computers, and I'm doing sales and she's doing operations and stuff, is we are going to have to kind of like figure that out. But we know that our relationship is so solid that we have that trust that we kind of don't take anything personally, and we're going to have dust ups and we're going to have arguments, and they may be in front of our tech, and we're going to have to figure that out. But we also know that we need to leave that at work so that when we come home, it's us time or alone time. And I figure I'll be, sales and marketing, I'll be out in the field a ton. So it's not like we're going to be sitting next to each other all day, every day. But
yeah, and it's really, the little teeny office is truly that. It's just to check in, do what we need to do. We've got inventory, because we've got inventory on the van. So if we come out and you need something, we have inventory on the van. So I've told Dennis, if you're bugging me in the office too long, then we got a problem, because you're not supposed to be in the office.
Yeah, exactly.
Around that, and it truly is. I mean, for both of us, part of this journey that I have just so enjoyed is really getting to network. I used to say to people that I'm really not good at networking when I was in the corporate world, and what I came to acknowledge is I wasn't really good networking in the tribe, and that's kind of what you do in that environment. And then as I started networking and getting to know people and listening to their journeys, it's fascinating to me. And so that has been so awesome, really, that side of it. The other thing is we're really involved in just being socially responsible. So we've got a lot of activities. I'm on the board of Adoption Options. We're really aligned with Boys and Girls Club Denver. We've got other things that
we signed up to pick up Jordan Road, all the trash off Jordan Road. We get this street taken care of by NerdsToGo, but it's also like cool being out there. We're out there in our orange. It's a sunny day. We're picking up stuff. People are drive by honking, saying thanks and stuff like that. So we really wanted to build that corporate social responsibility into the fabric of the company that we are. Not just because it's a good thing to give back, but because people really like to work for companies like that. And then also it kind of elevates our mission statement. Like, look, we're not just trying to make money. We're trying to improve our community and the businesses around us. I mean, we really try to promote their businesses. So like we're going to be having our grand opening on May 11th, and so we work with other area businesses like Party America and to get all of our stuff taken care of and help promote them too. So we're all in this together. So definitely.
I think the balance will be is really us both being out, really doing what we're really good at. With that, and then finding that time. And I think most married couples, you have to do so much of that. You bring home, your work, even when you don't work together, around it. But, really finding that point of when do we stop. Denny and I have been empty nesters for, about 4 years now.
Yeah.
And I had a friend tell me it was like you're in college, but you have money, and it's so true. And so but we have a really good time together. And when we met, we were best friends before we even started dating. And so, he's been my best friend for 30 plus years. And so there's just that part of, for me, when we made the decision for him to work full time, it was just this huge, okay, this is the right way to go, because he's my best partner.
Yeah. And so the only problem is like we get home at night, we don't have anything to talk about because we both know what everybody was doing all day. So we'll flip on Game of Thrones and call it good.
Be still my heart. Arya, but I digress.
Yes.
Yes. We will talk about that after the show.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like you guys already have a solid foundation, which is really awesome. I'm definitely going to get your tech in here for the real tea on this. So wait for that phone call.
Yeah.
I have another question here. You mentioned values, and values are an interesting concept for any business. When you work for the corporate world, you are consistently falling in line with their values and their mission. And when you start your own business, you get to start from scratch on what values you want, and you get to build those up. You guys are in a really unique space with franchising because you do have a main corporation that clearly has some values and ethics in place, right?
Oh, yeah.
But you still get to have that freedom to build your own. And you mentioned that you're doing some community work, Boys and Girls Club, things like that, which is really exciting. Talk about how you've built those values up and how that conversation came about and what you threw out and decided to keep.
Yeah.
Well, I would say, when really just overall starting, it was how do we align, and we do a lot of things with kids and women, mostly kids, right? That's kind of that piece of it. But even as we were thinking about how we wanted to be an employer and how we would represent ourselves with that, and even had some good conversations with our tech about our success will be our success, not just ours, Den and I, but the company. And I have such a belief in that. No one person makes an organization run effectively, and so really to be cognizant of that, and being there, ensuring that, like, even for him, continual education. He's got some aspirations that we've talked about, which is also awesome, with it. And it's that, to me, has been one of the best and bonus aspects of this, is really we are creating what we want to be, the employer that we want to be, the experiences that we want to create, not only for our clients, but also for the employees.
So it's an extension of what our values and morals are. I mean, we raised our girls to be good, educated, participating members of the community. And so that's what we're trying hard to do. Now, certainly when you're a new business, you're going to get asked to sponsor everything. The people will come out of the woodwork. So what we've tried to do is, again, just be very strategic that we've got one or two or three that we're really going to concentrate on, and that's kind of where we're going to make our name and know that, like, we're partnering with these because it's a reflection of our values.
And I think especially around kids, because they're our future. And so getting really to align with those type of organizations and giving back. And I even think about how we're going to be able to give back as we think about girls and young women and,
being in tech.
And that, and that surprised me. I had no women that applied for the position, which was kind of a bummer. Around that. But we'll continue to be, extremely open to that, and hopefully that will happen if it happens. So
we're trying to stay close with the IT schools around and stuff. And if there's like endeavors where we can support STEM education for young women in high school and in college, we're certainly going to, find the correct way to do that. So.
Yeah, awesome. We have just a few minutes before we have to end the show. Sadly, I'm having a great conversation. Great time
you, Alex.
Thank you. But before we go, I want to ask about some future projects. You have the one tech that you've got right now. Are we looking at hiring, expansion? I know eventually we're going to get a bigger brick and mortar space. What's on the horizon?
So definitely hiring. When we found our tech, he really had a very expansive background. So we'll look to complement with our second tech actually around that. The other thing that's really going to be upcoming for us is offering education classes as well. So we've been looking at some of our senior communities to be able to go in and talk to them with that. And so we really want to provide that education. So we'll start to expand in providing that as well.
I think you said it.
Okay.
she's got the tab on the future plan. So I only have small goals. We just want to take over the whole Denver market. NerdsToGo, everywhere you look, you'll see those little
yellow vans.
Yellow and orange vans all over the place. You'd be like, they really have taken over the city. So
perfect, lofty, but I like it. I still think it's pretty attainable. Awesome. So one more time, NerdsToGo.com.
Yes.
And 1-800-390-NERD.
Yes, or 6373.
I love
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. This has been such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having us. It's
Yeah.
always a pleasure. You're such a great hostess.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Go on. Thank you both so much. I appreciate it. And again, visit cobrt.com/radio-podcast. Type in NerdsToGo. You can see this podcast and more at that site, NerdsToGo.com. Visit that. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube page while you're here. And have a wonderful day.